I wasn't always this girl. There was a time when I laughed loudly. When my dreams were bigger than my fears. When my reflection didn't scare me. My name is Lena, and this is how I lost myself. I grew up in a small, quiet town where everybody knew your name and your business. The streets were calm. The houses were old. The dreams were small. But mine weren't. I was 17, and I felt like the world was too big for that tiny place. I wanted lights. I wanted noise. I wanted something more than the same faces and the same conversations every single day. My parents loved me, I think. They worked hard. They were strict. They didn't talk much about feelings. In our house, love was shown through food on the table and school fees paid on time, not hugs or long conversations. And maybe that's why I was always looking for something else. Then one night, everything changed. I was walking home when I met her. Roxanne. She looked like she didn't belong in my town. Her heels clicked on the pavement like she owned it. Her perfume lingered in the air. Her smile was calm, confident, dangerous. She asked me simple questions at first. What do you want from life? No one had ever asked me that before. I told her I wanted money. Freedom. A different life. She smiled like she already knew. You're too beautiful to struggle, she said softly. The city rewards girls like you. I didn't understand everything she meant. Not fully. But I understood one thing, she was offering escape. And I was desperate enough to take it. The city was loud. Bright. Alive. At first, it felt like a dream. The clubs were dim and golden. Music vibrated through my chest. Men looked at me like I was the only person in the room. Money came quickly. Faster than I had ever seen before. New clothes. Expensive dinners. Hotel rooms with soft beds and tall windows overlooking the skyline. For the first time, I felt powerful. I thought I was in control. But control is an illusion when your worth depends on who is willing to pay for it. The nights became longer. The smiles became harder to fake. The compliments started to sound the same. You're special. You're different. You're unforgettable. But they always forgot. And slowly, so did I. Every night before going out, I would stand in front of the mirror. At first, I loved what I saw, makeup perfect, hair flawless, confidence glowing. But as the months turned into years, something changed. My eyes stopped shining. By 21, I was still young, but I felt ancient inside. The men who once chased me began chasing younger girls. The calls became fewer. The money became harder to earn. The city that once felt like freedom started to feel like a cage. And Roxanne. She disappeared. The same woman who promised me luxury vanished when things got hard. My messages were left unread. My calls unanswered. That's when I understood. I was never her partner. I was her product. One night, I sat alone in a cheap hotel room. The lights were off except for the bathroom bulb. The mirror in that room was cracked, a thin line running through my reflection. I stared at myself for a long time. I didn't recognize the girl looking back. She looked tired, empty, fragile. And suddenly, I broke. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just silent tears falling one after another. I missed my old laugh. I missed my old dreams. I missed being innocent. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. So many names. So many numbers. But not one person I could truly call for help. That was the loneliest moment of my life. Not when I left home. Not when I first walked into a club. But when I realized I had built a life surrounded by people, and still had no one. My body was tired. My heart was heavier than anything I had ever carried. I had traded my youth for temporary comfort. I had sold pieces of myself so slowly that I didn't notice when I disappeared. That night, I whispered something to myself. I want to come back. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. But I knew I couldn't stay. The next morning, I packed everything into one small suitcase. It was shocking how little of that glamorous life actually belonged to me. I walked out of the city without looking back. There was no dramatic music. No applause. No fairy tale ending. Just fear and a tiny spark of hope. Rebuilding hasn't been easy. Some days I cry for no reason. Some days I hate myself for the choices I made. Some days I stare at mirrors and still see the broken girl. But other days, I see strength. Because I survived. I am learning that healing is not about becoming who I was before. It's about forgiving the girl who didn't know better. If you're listening to this and you feel lost, if someone has promised you an easy life that cost your soul, please pause. Ask yourself who you are without the lights, without the money, without the validation. Because when the music stops, you are the one left with your reflection. And broken mirrors, they still reflect the truth. I am Lena. And I am still putting myself back together. Piece by piece.